Hey guys, came from 15, jumping my Uncle Darrell, back at it with another video for you guys, and we're here to talk about the Chicago Bears. Now, the day they announced that whole Eberflus returning and Luke Getsy firing, I did do kind of like an instant reaction video, literally as I'm driving to work on in my car. So it was kind of a little bit of a rant slash cheering that Getsy's gone. And then plus, that was before the press conference that happened later in the afternoon. Um, so that's kind of what this video is going to be about. And then my Uncle Daryl giving his take on Eberflus staying, Getsy being gone. Um, we're not really going to delve into the Packers or get his opinions about the Packers game unless he wants to give his short opinions about it. But I don't think we talk about that.
I can care less. We lost. Enough said.
Yep. Well, obviously, the breaking news on Wednesday morning was the fact that Matt Eberflus ended up being retained as the head coach going to the 2024 season, but they fire Luke Getsy, the quarterbacks coach Andrew Janoko, wide receivers coach Tyke Tolbert, and I think some other staff members on the offensive staff. I think the only returning members on the offensive side of the ball are the tight ends coach and the offensive line coach. Um, Debatable for me if why they brought back Chris Morgan, the O-line coach, but I guess they like him enough and they think he may have did a good job, which I say otherwise because you didn't have a damn center. You had Cody Whitehair, but then again, what do I know? You had bad players that just can't do their jobs at the highest level, so I guess I can't really blame the coach. So um my thoughts in a layman's term was about Eberflus coming back. I didn't like it. I preferred the Bears just to let him go. I think when you look at the what happened this past season, I understand it's only a second season. And obviously when we talk about the press conferences and the fact that Kevin Warren and Poles talked about having stability and continuity in some aspects, I can get that. But when you put up what when you make the arguments that was valid, which was the three blown leads in the fourth quarter against playoff caliber teams, with the exception of Denver. You lost those games. If you had won those games, you would have been a playoff game. You had two coaches fired for HR violations. Um, you didn't want to check your OC early in the season, which led him to doing the same BS he was doing, which is the reason why he got fired. Um, and then just a bunch of other stuff. I just felt like maybe you need to go in a different direction. There's a good crop of coaches out there in the market, which there is. You got Mike Vrabel, Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, whatever, Jim Harbaugh, maybe, you know. And my opinion, I would have let him go. He would be the type of coach that, okay, you have set the groundwork. We're going to move on to the next guy to be able to hopefully get us to where we need to get to. They felt otherwise. I can clearly tell from the press conference, Ryan Poles truly, truly cares and loves Matt Eberflus as a coach, even though I might disagree with his stance. That's just my opinion, and I can't do nothing about it. But if there, all I can say is he better improve the team to the point they get to the playoffs next year. Because if they don't, it depends what they do with him. And we can talk more about that later. But as for Luke Getsy being fired, good riddance. I don't care. He was awful. For crying out loud, he could probably go to either New York to go pair up with Aaron Rodgers to be his quarterback coach again, or he can just go take his little skinny butt back to Green Bay and probably laugh at Matt LaFleur saying, I gave you guys a great game plan to beat us 2 weeks and everything. So that's just my takes. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna start with Eberflus because that's the main one. I personally did not have a problem with them retaining him. I think he did enough to save his job with calling the signals for the defense. He basically turned that defense into a top five defense. I mean, enough said. The thing that I found most interesting was all the chit chat about firing him as head coach and retaining him as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
which
that I
honestly
I
was
didn't believe that at all.
ridiculous. Didn't believe that crap either, but there was still talk about it. So when that talk started to surface, I was like, well, if that's the case, you might as well retain him and just don't hire a defensive coordinator.
I think people brought that up because with the Broncos, they had Vance Joseph come back because he used to be the head coach of the team. He left
Right.
for a bit, but then when Sean
Right.
Payton came back, Vance Joseph came back to be the DC, which I don't know why people would think about that. Well,
Right.
the guy was already away from the freaking organization for a number of years, and he only comes back because Sean Payton's like, "Hey, I want you on my staff."
Well, I'll say this. I
And
think
plus, and plus, with the Denver Broncos, it's new ownership, not the old
correct,
ownership.
correct, correct. I think the main thing is with Eberflus is you got to give him some kind of credit. He did do just enough, especially on the defensive side of the ball, to warrant giving him some consideration for bringing him back. Let's just now, as from a game planning standpoint, oh yeah, I gotta admit, I'm sorry, man. There is something that's wrong in the water in Chicago. There is nothing that you can sit up here and tell me that would make me think that the game plans that they've had going forward, especially in the Green Bay game,
Yep.
I mean, he just sat in zone throughout the entire game, basically. They rarely, I mean, it was vanilla throughout the entire game.
Yep.
It was
All
really
because
vanilla.
all because your now second team All Pro cornerback is not in there. At least be aggressive. You have nothing to lose in the last week of the season. You're not going to the playoffs.
Now, I will say this, and we texted back and forth on this, and usually, yeah, and most of the time, and we do disagree. We disagree on a lot of stuff. I basically was saying that, you know what? I wouldn't be shocked if the Bears tanked that game to keep that second first rounder being in the top 10 instead of being 15 to 16. That was just my conspiracy theory. I was just like, you know what? They ain't trying to win this game. There's nothing, and I looked at it twice. There was nothing that told me that they wanted to come out of that game with the 16 pick overall in the first round. That game told me that they were tanking to keep that pick in the second, to keep that pick in the top 10. That's just what it is. Now, the players probably wanted to win the game, obviously, because it's Green Bay, but the signals and the calls that are coming from the sideline saying, yeah, I tell you what, we're going to sit back in this zone throughout the entire game and let's see what happens and let's see what comes of it. We don't have Jalen Johnson, so we can use that as an excuse as to the reason why we sat in the vanilla cover two throughout the entire game, which is rare in an NFL football game.
They essentially did a preseason defense.
Basically, and which is rare during a regular season game at any point during the season to
Especially
do
against the
that
rival.
type of defense throughout the entire game. And they still held the Packers less than 20 points. And I would
I
probably
would say
say
I would say the Packers, when you look at that game, they missed a lot of opportunities
they
themselves.
did. They did. And if you really think about it, I mean, they still had 100-yard rushing. I mean, Jordan Love still threw 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So it was just one of them things, whereas the Bears defense was just vanilla, and the Bears offense, as always, is anemic, especially when you play the Packers.
Especially when you have Luke Getsy calling the plays.
Oh my goodness gracious. I mean, I never once thought that I would honestly say that oh golly gee, I can't even remember the doggone guy's name. The head coach we had prior to the head coach, Matt Nagy.
Nagy.
I was just like, man, at least Nagy would have tried to dial something up to go deep.
He even threw, I don't even remember if they threw one deep shot in that game.
Mm.
God.
They didn't. Just anyway, and but that's my view on the Bears Packers. I think the Bears was through the game to keep that pick in the top 10. Kudos, you all did it. You got the first overall and the ninth overall. Great. Pose, I do not envy you. But Eberflus did do enough, in my opinion, to be retained. I mean, the defense was balling out. I mean, we gotta give that defense credit. When they were healthy, they were balling out. Balling out. All we needed was just somebody on the offensive side of the ball from a coaching standpoint is to actually call plays based on the personnel that are on the field and on the sidelines. We just couldn't get that. The Bears lost what, 3-4 games, up more than 10 in the fourth quarter because of an anemic ass offense. And yeah, they scapegoated Getsy, but I'm all right with it because I got to admit, dude was flat out horrible.
Yeah,
Dude,
and
horrible.
that's why I said like I didn't understand because especially when you look at the press conference and my God, the way when the questions were asked to Poles and Eberflus in the press conference few on Wednesday, they legitimately took shots openly at Getsy about
Yeah.
play calling and everything, and I'm just like, you're telling me you
But
could have not.
the ironic part is when that happened during the season, they pretty much ostracized the player.
Yeah, they said the players just got to execute.
Yeah. Let
And
that
then when the
happen.
guy's out the building, yeah, we could do better there in some aspects. You know, Eberflus made a mention of the fact that the passing offense should have definitely been better. I'm just like, you could have said this all
Where
regular
was
season
where was that
long.
in week 6?
Like, hold on, I got a quote.
Where was that when Claypool said it? Where was that when Moore said it? Where was that when Moore said it to a defender?
When Justin Fields said that he felt robotic,
In
and
a
then they
press conference.
and then they immediately told him after practice, listen, you need to go apologize for those comments because
Correct.
and
But
they made
here
Justin
in this
Fields.
press conference at the end of the season, yeah, the offensive side, it was not what we had hoped, you know. And you got Poles answering these questions, and Eberflus is like, yeah, he just nodding. That was getting me. And I think I texted that to he just nodding his head like in agreement.
Yeah, well, here's one quote that Mark Grody, a Chicago Bears beat reporter, mentioned that Eberflus said about the offense. He said, change. He said, speaking of the change of the offensive staff, spoke of the need for growth and improvement and how it wasn't where it needed to be. You know, he also said, you know, asked why he fired Lou Getsy. The growth and development of the offense to me needed to be better than it was. And to me, you look at the passing game, that's certainly one aspect of it, and that's where it is. We decided to move on from that, and that was my decision. So throughout the entire 8 weeks of the season, you're watching this guy call questionable plays, and your offense is not moving at an efficient rate. If anything, they move the ball efficiently against the bad football teams, but against, I would say, mid to higher tier teams, you struggle offensively. And you're just going to stand there, even though you're calling plays defensively, you're still the head coach. You can't be in the same headset, switch to the offensive system and be like, Luke, what was that? Come on, man. We need better play
Absolutely.
calls here, buddy.
We've seen coaches just literally just going to their OC to be like, dude, what was that? That was no, man. You gotta have an OC that's gonna treat that defense right. So then that way they're well and refreshed when they get to come out on the field. Not one time did I honestly see the frustration of Eberflus and Luke Getsy throughout the season. He hid that really well.
Yeah.
And for them, after 17 games, 1 week later, they are actually going to throw this dude under the bus, making him the problem, the fault for just about the majority of everything that happened during the year.
And see,
All
that's
of those game plans was shoddy, and that's Eberflus.
and that,
Eberflus only kept his job because of what he did as a defensive coordinator.
And that's why I said I don't like the fact that they retained Eberflus, because I knew, I had a sneaking suspicion the only reason why the Bears would find a way to bring Eberflus back, because we know how much Ryan Poles is very honest and trustworthy, and he has this belief in these people. This is the same guy, Ryan Poles, and I like Ryan Poles. I'm getting a. I feel sometimes Ryan Poles in his business, he takes things a little bit too personally. He really values these people, these good people, and I understand that. But at the end of the day, you got to sometimes realize it's a business, man. It's okay to be cutthroat. Like, remember when the Larry Ogunjobi contract fell through, the guy basically came to the podium and almost cried tears because of that contract falling through. I'm like, dude, why are you almost about to cry? I understand the deal fell through, but you did what you needed to do. If the medicals aren't correct, you can't sign this guy. And I
Correct.
feel like he brought him back because he's like, I know we probably might need to let him go, but we feel like he did just enough just because he turned the defense around. And this is the thing why I hate what the Bears do. And I started becoming a true Bear fan around 2009, 2010. That's when I like got myself ingrained into sports full time. And it's always something with the Bears where they think, "Oh, we got the defense. We just got to fix the offense." And then you go out the next season, and then okay, and this is what happened with Trestman. The offense was fine. The defense just sucked. And then you turn it around, the next regime, well, we might need to fix the defense. So let's fix the defense because the offense will be fine. And then the offense goes back to sucking. I feel like it's this patch band-aid work that they are trying to do. Because there's no guarantees. Whoever the new OC comes in, the offense is humming. And then you got your defense doing good stuff. There's no
Yeah.
guarantee. And I feel like the Bears
Right.
consistently always do that. This thing of like, oh well, this looks good, but we just got to fix this up and we'll be great. We'll be great.
Correct. Correct. My thing is, if you know what kind of defense you want to run, get you an offense that's going to supplement said defense. Get you an offense that's going to supplement that defense. And just there was nothing for me about Getsy signing that was actually any good. But Eberflus's leadership to me was in question as well too, especially early in the year with those two defensive coaches getting removed for HR violations.
Oh,
To me,
Williams,
that's a reflection.
and then
That's a reflection of the fish. That's reflection of the what's the term?
The head coach.
A fish rots from the head down. That's Eberflus.
Yep.
You brought these guys on board. And now, is Eberflus going to want to continue calling the defensive signals or get someone else to come in? Well, now you got to think about the chemistry of the coaching staff.
Yep.
You already built this defense to a point whereas now they're actually really good. My point now is, why get a defensive coordinator? Why get one? To me, you're taking a risk of messing with the chemistry of the defense by bringing in somebody else. Another Bears blunder. Either way it go.
But at the end of the day, you still got to hire a defensive coordinator. Eberflus can still call the plays and be the head coach.
Maybe so. I would think that's, rare. The head coach is calling the defensive signal, even though you have a defensive coordinator.
Well, it's the same thing with offense. The head coach, if they're on offensive mind, they're calling the plays 100%.
Well, when Matt Nagy started calling the plays and we had an offensive coordinator, that just didn't do the offensive coordinator's confidence any good.
Yeah.
It just flat out sucked. Anyway, I would probably say let's just see what happens. But I would not bring on a defensive coordinator. Knowing how Eberflus worked with this defense, I wouldn't do it.
I'd still bring a
I,
defensive coordinator on. He could be on name basis, but he ain't calling plays. He can just be in the
maybe,
meetings and just sit there. And then
maybe,
maybe give advice to Eberflus. Hey, I think we should do this.
maybe.
So
Or just if you are going to bring in a defensive coordinator, bring in someone with that's just going to keep the same train on the tracks. But at the same time, though, mix it up a little. I mean, yeah, you know what? Now that I think about it, with the way he called that last game in Green Bay, and
and
also
this and that isn't just
he
Green
does
Bay.
call a lot of zone.
That isn't just Green Bay. It's multiple games where he sits back in the zone when he feels comfortable enough to do so. And
Yeah.
then that's
And
when you
that's
have him.
really the reason why I think we blew them leads too. We're sitting back in a zone and quarterbacks like Joe Flacco, all he doing is running to his right, picking apart your cover two. Because you know, eventually the cornerback after 5, 10 yards, he got to release that wide receiver.
Yep.
You know, so maybe, but you know, but at least we did get rid of Getsy.
Yeah.
Now the fact of the matter is replacing him.
Yep. And
You know,
the Bears so far, they've requested to interview Seattle Seahawks former OC Shane Waldron. And then I think they also put in a request to interview Clint Kubiak, a passing game coordinator from the 49ers.
now
Now,
he's the one I'm intrigued with.
personally,
He,
I'd rather go. Now, I understand the guy in Seattle. He turned around Geno Smith and he helped him, and he definitely made the offense there in Seattle do better than what it did, Wilson pre Wilson before he left. But like, I'm going straight to the 49ers because you look at a guy like,
yeah, I was about to say I'm not a fan of Waldron. I I didn't see anything he did special with Geno Smith that translated over multiple seasons. I didn't see anything. Yeah, Gino had that one really good year last year, and they did really well. He got his contract, and then this year he wasn't so good.
he was
What
just
wasn't
average
so
at
good.
best.
Wasn't so good to the point whereas you know Seattle and Pete Carroll they went their separate ways. Now was Pete Carroll fired, or was it one of those splits where both sides were like maybe we should just call it quits?
Again, I would immediately take Pete Carroll on my team right now, just for a
So
culture reason.
I would too.
Yeah, I probably right
But I'm
now.
intrigued. I'm intrigued with Kubiak. I will say that I'm intrigued with Kubiak because I mean, if you look at his head coach, I mean, are you are you maybe want to say that the 49ers head coach is an offensive genius? I mean, would you go that far? If you are, then yeah, pluck somebody from his staff.
And heck, freaking Mike McDaniels, who I don't think called any plays when he was in San Francisco as the OC. He went over to freaking Miami Dolphins. Those dudes' offense got humming. Obviously, players
Well,
around to
talent also
yeah.
does too, you know. Um, so that's the tricky part with the Miami offensive coordinator. I mean, is he an offensive coordinator or is he a passing game coordinator as well?
Who, Kubiak?
Uh, Not Kubiak. Kubiak's a passing game coordinator with, San Francisco.
Oh, McDaniels? I think he was the OC.
He's an OC.
He was the OC under Shanahan.
Yeah. Now I gotta admit, Kyle Shanahan is an amazing play caller too. But again, you got to have talent. So that's why I'm intrigued with Kubiak.
And plus, he has experience as an OC because he used to be the OC for the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
As
So
long as
I'm in, I'm, I'm
he's
intrigued with Kubiak. I'm intrigued with Kubiak. I'm also intrigued with well, I can't fathom anybody leaving um an offensive coordinator position for another
Their
offensive.
offensive coordinator position.
Yeah, I can't fathom. I mean, it may very well happen, but
Feel like you would have to probably like freaking pay this guy a lot of money, and on top of it, probably make him like assistant coach or something like that.
right,
You know,
right,
if Eberflus were to get fired at some point next season,
right,
he
right.
can just step up and do the job,
Because
and you
they're saying
evaluate.
the Texans offensive coordinator could potentially be a head coach somewhere.
Yeah, I
But
think he's looking for head coach
I
opportunity.
think he's looking for head coach too. Ben Johnson's looking for head
Yep.
coach. You know, I think people are slowly staying away from the Philadelphia Eagles assistants. But the
Um,
Philadelphia Eagles, they just had a lot of injuries this year to just, you know,
there's
but
another name you could probably throw in the hat is Bieniemy because there's uncertainty there in Washington, maybe.
maybe.
No,
But at the same time, if you really think about it, when the Kansas City Chiefs won that Super Bowl, who was the OC?
Bieniemy.
The enemy.
Now they're all
When Bieniemy left the Kansas City Chiefs, who became the OC?
Matt Nagy.
Matt Nagy. What is the Kansas City offense doing right now?
Ain't been
Strugg-
impressive.
Struggling. And they got to play the Dolphins. Uh,
Well, you look at that game, they're going to be playing like frigid temperatures, maybe like negative 30 degrees of that
yeah,
game.
that's true. I mean, they're in Kansas City, so you know you can't really expect a warm weather climate team to come under them conditions, even though they do have all that speed and then succeed. But you got Matt Nagy as your damn offensive coordinator, so I'm just on the side of the the people who think that the Dolphins is going to come up in there and beat them.
Yeah,
So,
possibly could. Possibly
but
could.
if you want to get the enemy, if the enemy is truly looking for head coaching opportunities, then I would probably say, yeah, sign him and let's see what the guy can dial up with this dynamic physical specimen of a quarterback that we have in Chicago.
Yep.
But
Uh,
if Kubiak, for me, I I gotta admit, I'm really intrigued with Kubiak.
And see, the thing is, and the Bears wouldn't be doing their due diligence in these interviews if they're not asking these guys to be like, listen, I would envision that if they're putting a request out there, they probably just let these guys know, listen, if you do get requested, have a plan for what you potentially want to do in any event if we keep Justin, and have a plan if we end up deciding we need to draft a quarterback. Um, I think that's the number one thing these OC or these potential OCs need to do. They need to come into this interview, have a set plan. What are you going to do for Fields? And then what are you going to do if we say draft a rookie quarterback? They mentioned in the
Well,
press.
more so than that, the Bears need to decide what they're going to do with Fields first, in my opinion.
I
I don't
feel
think
I
you,
feel
I
like
don't think you should hire an OC by asking him though, giving him that that dichotomy. What if we get rid of Fields, or what if we keep him? My thing is make a decision and then ask that OC, hey, um, we're looking to do this. Can you do this? Enough said. So
I feel like they got to hire the OC and in collaboration with said OC make that decision together. Head coach, GM, OC.
that's also really well, yeah, that's also difficult for a new person coming in.
Now the tape's out
It's
there for
for me, it's
Fields.
because he never worked with Justin. Poles and Eberflus really didn't work with Justin. And Eberflus is not an offensive, and Eberflus, you can definitely tell he don't know diddly squat about offense. So I would probably say just make your decision on Fields and say, hey, we're not getting rid of the kid. Can you come up in here and make this dude can you and improve on this kid being a stud?
And it's clear from the press conference, the way they were talking about Fields glowingly, it's like they want him back another season. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. You just better hope he has that breakout year next year. Because if you don't, well, then you could potentially look at the draft class, and if
Well,
they end up having good seasons, well, then you
it
look
also
back.
it also depends because it's obvious they're gonna trade that one down.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're,
It's obvious they're gonna trade that one down. So it depends on what they get for that one.
yep.
Now keep in mind now, I'm pretty sure Pose is gonna be looking for another sucker. And the one that's standing right there on the sidelines is the New England Patriots.
Yep.
New England Patriots. Trade that pick to New England and try to get their number one next year.
I'd ask for 3 number 1s.
Trade that number one over because if Caleb Williams is the generational talent that everybody says he is, then I'm telling you right now, trade that pick and get somebody's number one next year, and you could probably get someone's number one the year after that. Look at the problems that the New England Patriots have with their staff. They got to get a head coach.
They got a head coach. Gerard Mayo already is now the new head coach.
Oh, they promote him within.
Essentially.
Okay.
I thought Vrabel was going to get the job, to be honest.
Who?
I thought Vrabel.
I thought Vrabel was going to get it too. I thought he was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But even Vrabel, if you really look at it, Vrabel couldn't develop a quarterback either.
True.
But he's from the defensive side of the ball. Another defensive coach in an era of football and offensive football can't develop. I mean, come on now, you can't develop a quarterback. You know, where here it is, Andy Reid.
Unless you're like a Houston Texans situation, too.
Say again?
Unless you're like a Houston Texans situation. But D'Amico Ryans brought somebody from San Francisco with him to be.
But D'Amico Ryans knows and understands that, you know what? I got to make sure I get me an OC.
Yep.
I got to make sure I get me a good one. Plus, it didn't help that, he went to the University of Alabama and played football there. But, I'm not going to say nothing. Roll Tide. Love you, Nick Saban.
Yeah, you guys got Kalen DeBoer now.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I'm not a fan of sipping. I'm not a fan of sipping the tea while it's hot. And I mean, people like to jump on that bandwagon and be like, well, you know what? He did this in Washington and he did it in Washington. He did it in Washington. So, can you get this guy to come to Alabama and recruit the way Saban can? We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Saban's special, man. It's just I don't even know how to explain it, but But back on the Bears though. I'm intrigued with Kubiak. And if I'm correct, they did interview him.
Yeah. I don't know if they
He's
interviewed
he's on the list to be interviewed.
Probably. I would guess maybe it would have been those interviews where you have it over Zoom. You can't bring him in person because he's obviously focused for playoff stuff. But they would have they would have to buy, correct?
Yeah.
So maybe they could fly him into Chicago, or maybe they go over to San Francisco to interview.
It's not one of them things where they have to get permission to interview. Okay.
Yeah, because I know with the Seattle Seahawks, they had to actually request for permission to interview Shane Waldron, which
I wouldn't have been interested in him anyway. But I kid you not. If you get an opportunity to pluck someone from that coaching staff, man, I say take that opportunity because that offense has been really good all year long.
And plus, I guess from what I always listen to, the offense Getsy was running is basically the same Shanahan offense. You just don't know what to call. So
yeah. I mean, it's and a lot of times, man, and that's why I brought up Trey Lance to you earlier. And yeah, you made a good comment about Trey Lance. That he was injured. They just didn't give him opportunities and things of that nature. But that's probably the only time I was just like with the San Francisco quarterbacks. is because Lance, although he wasn't the physical specimen that Justin Fields is, they are similar in the sense that they do like to get out of the pocket, move around, and things of that nature. Whereas the quarterbacks that Shanahan's system has been successful with are more or less pocket passers. So
Yeah.
that's the one thing that I was worried about with Kubiak, because San Francisco, historically, this coaching staff anyway, has really had some issues seemingly with quarterbacks who are a little mobile.
And I think in the press conference, it was either Poles or Eberflus. I think it was preferably, I think it was more Eberflus. They mentioned the fact that, whoever is the new OC, we hope that like he's able to tailor the game to the players surrounding him that he has on him, which that was another
Yeah.
shot at Getsy, which was very telling to easily tell you he wasn't using the players with what there was out there or what you have available to you. You didn't adjust your game plan to it.
Well,
So
I mean, and I get it. You don't really want to sit up here and blast a dude in the media, but there are ways to get your point across privately. And it just didn't look like whatever, if they were saying anything to Getsy, he wasn't getting it.
yeah,
He wasn't
clearly.
getting it. He wasn't trying to get it. He was basically giving the team the proverbial FU.
Yeah, it was just like Nagy. Run my system, otherwise it don't
Yeah.
work.
And I'm so worn out with these coaches who think that they just know so doggone much. That whole Mike Martz effect that, hey, I'm the smartest guy in the room and you listen to me. Oh, okay. All right. Well, tell us, oh wise one, how do we keep losing? How do we stop losing?
And listen, when you have DJ Moore on Amon Ra and Equanimity of St. Brown's podcast, and you have Amon Ra say, like, what happened with Mooney? And then you equally have DJ Moore and Equanimity of St. Brown as his brother's complimenting Mooney, saying, like, what the hell happened with him? And then they both say, like, you're talking to the wrong guy. That's not us. And DJ Moore, the last few weeks have been very expressive in how he felt about the offensive play call.
Yep.
And you could probably, I don't even have to know that in these meetings, Poles and Eberflus had, DJ Moore was probably the number one guy that said, you got to get this guy up out of here. He don't know what the hell he's doing.
Yeah. And again, he already knows because it happened early in the season. Don't blast the coaches in the media.
Yep.
So what he did as a retort is say, "Hey, we got to keep Justin Fields." He became a Justin Fields fan. I kept seeing it, Justin Fields, Justin Fields, Justin Fields. Justin Fields can do the job. There is no rookie that's better than Justin Fields right now. Though that kind of stuff. He pretty much went on, he just politicked for Justin Fields. And I think that was pretty cool though.
We'll talk about the Justin Fields stuff in a bit. Talk about do we think if he's gonna be staying or if he's gonna potentially be traded? And then that should probably conclude the video. We'll probably address any other smaller stuff that the Bears talk about, like Jalen Johnson and things like that. But we'll be back in a quick second after this little quick break. All right. So second half of the video, we're going to be talking about just the Justin Fields situation. Do we believe is he going to stay and things like that? So all right, let's talk about it. Now, Mark Grody talked about the fact he said in a tweet after the press conference saying, based on what Bears GM Ryan Poles was saying today to reporters and a theme of continuity from everyone who spoke at Hallis Hall today, including Kevin Warren, because Kevin Warren, he even said it. And like there was one thing where Kevin Warren said is the fact that like he's a very impatient person and he realized, I guess, over time that he has to make sure he knows that he's making the right decisions, even though he's impatient. Now, I will, to Kevin Warren's credit, I like the fact that he came out and he admitted, listen, I'm a very impatient person. It just tells me he wants to win. But at the same time, it also tells me that he probably needs to understand, like, we need to get a full picture of this. Now, continuing on, he said, with this tweet, he says, I believe, as I believed with the case with Matt Eberflus, the organization will try to look for reasons to keep Justin Fields. And again, some quotes that were made. Brian Poles said in anticipating questions about Justin Fields and the team having the number one overall pick. He says, we are in the information gathering mode right now. We're going to turn every stone to make sure that we are going to make a sound decision for our organization. I did think Justin got better. I think he can lead this team. But at the same time, there's a unique situation where I have to look at everything, and that's exactly what we're going to do. And that's the same with free agency. And then he talks about like they're not ready to make a decision yet, blah 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 blah.
That
So
doesn't sound like 100% confidence in Justin Fields, though. It doesn't.
yeah.
What it sounds like is that, he's halfway in the door and halfway out. We haven't made up our minds just yet. But at the same time, though, how's that supposed to make the player feel
Well,
if you don't?
I think you have to say that just for negotiation purposes. If you go out there and say we're not trading Justin Fields, well then you might get less capital for the number one pick, even though Caleb Williams is proclaimed as a generational quarterback. Now, and obviously you're not doing good business if you're just taking Fields off the market and a teams who might be desperate for a quarterback is willing to trade for him. So, um, my whole stance on the situation, I'm kind of 50-50 to be honest. I'm kind of 50-50. I feel like he could potentially not be back, but again, Ryan Poles did say in the press conference, he used his memo, he would have to be blown away, like he said last year, by the quarterback prospects. And I think he elaborated more about that because a reporter asked him a question, what do you mean by blown away? And he obviously, even though Ryan Poles said, well, obviously talent matters, but he basically talks about like the rookie quarterback has to be that if I want to bring him in, he has to show good character. What he does off the field, most importantly. I mean, we know Justin Fields is a great human being off the field.
Yeah.
Obviously, the on the field product is, you have to be honest, it's not what you expect it to be at. Is there room for growth? Yes. Can he get better? Yes. And I think obviously that's what Ryan Poles and his staff has to do. If you're going to take a Caleb Williams, who there are people out there that says he has some character issues or whatever, you got to actually go to the people at USC or even go back to even people at Oklahoma and say, okay, how is this guy in the classroom? How is this guy out in his regular life at school and things like that? Was he actively doing the right things? Was he finding ways to not get into trouble? You just got to do the research. And you got to do the research with all these quarterbacks in this draft class. It's 50-50 at this point, because I know there's like a whole civil war on Twitter about Justin Fields and Caleb Williams and who's better and who's not. At the end of the day, I'm a Bears fan. If Fields gets traded, that's going to suck, but I welcome whoever the new quarterback is. The only thing is, and this also ties to the whole Eberflus thing. If you bring Justin Fields back, that should be the whole thing where, okay, Eberflus, Fields, this is your last year. You can't get to the playoffs, you're done. But only thing changes if Eberflus does a good job, but Fields still struggles. Then you have to move off from Fields and find a way to get a quarterback somewhere. But
Well,
if
that's what I said. That's why I said it's really dependent on what happens with that number one pick,
yep,
because it's obvious they're going to trade it down.
yep.
Now, what do you do with the return after you trade it down? Are you able to find a team that you know is not going to be successful next year anyway, that'll still
High enough
warrant?
for the following season to have a
Right,
top pick.
right. That's going to warrant, let's just say, maybe go quarterback next year and try to look at Shadur Sanders or someone like that,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But I don't think what I think, and me personally, and we've had this conversation before too. I'm of the mindset of let's just go ahead and reset the rookie clock and um part ways, because you got one more year with the kid, and then you're going to have to exercise the 5th-year option. And then if for whatever reason he does not excel or he does excel, then the Bears are going to be put in a position where it's now they got to, fork over 35, 40, 45 million. And it is already proven you can win with a rookie quarterback. CJ Stroud. Now, CJ Stroud may be a hell of a lot different than Caleb Williams once he comes in. I am of the mindset that I'm not really a fan of Lincoln Riley quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And here comes someone with all of his drama. Now, is that a thing about Lincoln Riley? I don't know.
And what we're referring to, look, Baker
But
Mayfield, he's
Lincoln Riley has 3 quarterbacks in the league, and they all have issues.
Baker Mayfield, he's been kind of passed around after being selected number 1 all around overall.
And
Kyler Murray, there was
Kyler
character
Murray,
issues a few years ago where he wasn't even studying the playbook, apparently.
correct. That's correct. And now here comes Caleb Williams. And you see all these different little reports run around. Caleb Williams wants ownership. Caleb Williams wants to find out if the Bears are going to keep the number 1 pick, because if they're keeping the number 1 pick, he's not coming out. That kind of crap.
He's not going back. He's not going back.
No, he's not going back. We all know that. But I'm just talking about the links that the media will go through.
Generational quarterback tab.
Right. Yeah.
Freaking Rick Spielman, he said it would take freaking Caleb Williams over Peyton Manning. And I'm like, you must be out of your damn mind.
Caleb Williams is already gone, the damn backup or whoever he was. He threw 6 touchdowns in a bowl game. You think they're going to want Caleb Williams back? Come on, man. Stop it.
I guess the only argument is, well, we're going to the Big Ten. But then again, who knows? Maybe the Big Ten could expose him. Who knows? Maybe. If he were to go back.
No. But the point is that if I'm of the mindset of resetting the rookie clock.
I'll say if you do that, you have to make sure. I say if you do that, you have to want one. You have to. You might as well extend Matt Eberflus 2 more years, because if you go the direction of getting a rookie quarterback and you're like, all right, we're going to trade Fields, we're going all in for a rookie quarterback. You immediately, the moment you trade Fields and do that decision, the next thing coming from Alice Hall better be a 2-year Matt Eberflus signs 2-year extension with the Chicago Bears, because you cannot make the same dumb mistake you made the last.
Another thing is OC.
Yes, and that's what I was about to get into that.
If you are not going to keep Fields, you got to make sure you get you an OC
that is the
rookie quarterback and make him what the Texans did with CJ Stroud, because it's already proven you can do it.
Yep,
you can do it, and the NFL is a copycat league. We all know that as well too.
Even though Mac Jones,
on top of that, you get that 4 years and you reset that clock, and you can be put in a position to build in other positions on the team. Now, granted, we'll miss out on Marvin Harrison Jr.
But there's still the other solid receivers you can draft with the 9th pick.
Well, you're right. But I was not really impressed with the receiver from Washington. I wasn't impressed with that joker at all. He didn't even look like, no, man. Michigan made him look pedestrian. Just pedestrian. Michigan made Aduze look like, yeah, dog. Although I hope with that number 9 pick, if Dallas Turner is there, go get him, please.
Personally, my opinion, what the Bears need to do this entire offseason, I'm fine if you get a few defensive players, it's clear the team needs a defense alignment, a 3 technique, because this is the number one thing that keeps eluding them. It's clear the team needs an edge rusher
Yep.
opposite of
Yep. They're not gonna get a 3
what?
technique with that top pick. With that number
My
9
my
pick.
thing is, I
With
feel
that
like you
number
can draft.
9, they're not gonna, I mean, it'll be it's it's just so much that are more important than a 3 technique with number 9. You do need an edge. Another offensive lineman wouldn't be a bad
Yes.
idea either. So I mean, you
Personally,
know,
honestly, I hope, because we've seen the last 2 off seasons, Poses
yeah,
somewhat went more the defensive side of the ball and with a little bit of offense mixed in. I kind of hope this off season, if you keep Fields and you really want to find out he's the guy, you have to give him the best damn possible help
I
at
agree.
any cost. Get
I
you
agree.
receivers, get you offensive linemen, get
I
talent
agree.
around this dude, so then you
Agree.
can actually get a clear cut evaluation. Get the best OC on the market you can potentially get. And the same
Yeah.
goes if you even draft a rookie quarterback. You want to make sure you set him up for success. Because if you do this crap where, well, we're going to somewhat penny pinch, or we're going to take a wide receiver in the 5th round, or an offensive lineman in the 5th round, or later round, but we're going to prioritize our top picks for defensive guys, your defense will be fine. Fix the offensive side of the ball. You got
Well,
issues at
right
the,
now the defense is fine.
yeah.
Right now the defense is fine. I mean,
And you really only
it's a
need 2
season.
needs defensively. 2 needs. And if you, for some stupid reason, let freaking Jalen Johnson walk away after what he did this past season.
I don't think they're gonna do that.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna do that. Um, for me, it would be foolhardy
Oh, yeah.
to
You got to
let
pay him now. You got to
let
pay him
John.
now.
Yeah, you got to pay him now.
And it
Now I
might
know
be, and honestly, it
how
might be more than what he was asking for earlier in the season.
maybe
Because now he made all pro second team. He's a pro
yep,
bowler.
yep,
Stepped up to his game.
yep. And
So,
I know I was hard on him early in the year,
yep.
but I think, and this is the reason why I say they should not get a defensive coordinator and just let Eberflus run that defense, because I just don't want that chemistry to be disturbed, because right now the chemistry is actually really good. They see that it's a clear leader that's taking them on, instead of you got the head coach calling defensive signals, you got the defensive coordinator who we just really don't know what his role is, but he does a lot of talking, so it just I is, and you know just as well as I do, chemistry is a really big deal in professional sports. And right now, the Bears have that really good chemistry with the defensive side of the ball, as with Eberflus calling their signals. And I don't think you should mess with that. Sign Jalen Johnson, and let's keep that chemistry at 100%. It's just that, but that, I don't know, man. I'm such a fan of Dallas Turner. I just think if he there, yeah, go ahead and grab him, man. But there are some quality wide receivers that you'll be able to get with that ninth pick. So, but
I just
if
hope.
they do trade, but if they trade down, they trading down that number 1 pick, and they trading down to get Harrison. That's just,
And I feel like you got to do that. You got to either be 2 or 3, because if you go behind, say, Arizona, they're gonna draft Marvin
I
Harrison.
can't see Washington at number 2 drafting Harrison Jr. with no quarterback on the horizon.
Yeah, they're
I
clearly gonna
can't.
probably go for a quarterback.
Yeah, and whoever trades into the number 1 spot, definitely coming to
Oh
get a
yeah.
quarterback.
Now
So
the only way maybe you trade down far enough is because it's too good of a deal if you're passing up. If a team's like stupidly gonna give you like 4 or 5 first-round picks, well then I don't
well,
care
yeah,
how
that's
far you
true.
drop. You go
That's true.
take that deal.
That's true. That deal has to be so unbelievable that, yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr., I tell you what, yeah, we're gonna have to pass on, because
And
even
honestly, do the Bears have a second round pick this year? Or did they trade their way when they got Sweat?
I think they traded that away when they got Sweat.
So clearly, they're gonna need 2 to 3 first-round picks for a trade back. They're gonna need a. I would hope they get a high second-round draft pick for this
Maybe.
year. So you have a second-round pick for this
Yeah,
year.
I still say if they want Harrison Jr., they got to trade down
Oh yeah,
and trade it to 3. That's why I said since the Patriots are 3, then trade it to the Patriots, use the 3, and see what you can get. The organization is in disarray. It's in disarray, and see what you can get.
yeah.
See what you can get. And draft
Um,
for 3.
yeah. You desperately need him, and honestly, whatever offensive lineman's available, I'd honestly get him with the ninth pick. I would do that. They also clearly need a center.
Again, with all of these different scenarios popping up right now, I mean, at one point, the tackle from Penn State was considered the #1 pick overall.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I'd still
he
take him over Braxton Jones right now.
now he's looking to fall. He's looking to fall.
Yeah, and if you were to draft him and just put him at the left tackle over Braxton Jones,
I'm
instant
good with
upgrade.
that.
Instant
I'm good
upgrade.
with that. Yeah, I'm good with that.
And heck, who knows? Maybe give Braxton Jones a shot at inside. Maybe be a guard. See if he does better there. I don't know.
Maybe,
But
or just keep him at tackle just to add depth to the position.
yeah, he could just be a backup. I'm fine with
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
You
I'm
still
fine
got
with.
Jatari Carter, who's a solid guard, who he
Yeah,
doesn't get enough of an
yeah.
opportunity. Um, you
And then on
know,
top of that, we still have 3rd and 4th round picks to be able to pick up more offensive linemen.
yep. You just
Wide
gotta hope
receiver.
they hit and they develop well.
Correct. Correct. So I
So,
mean, I mean, the draft is such an inexact science,
yep.
but usually when you're in the top 5,
You're
the
getting
path is clear.
you're getting guys that are probably gonna hit more than miss, especially if it's not the quarterback position.
Correct. So it's clear the Bears are going to trade down. I just think that,
Yeah, barring
but
barring some insane like crazy like okay, no, we need to get this guy at the
yeah,
quarterback position.
yeah,
It's probably
and
gonna be a trade.
obviously the Bears know that somebody is going to want to come up
Yep.
and give them the farm for that #1 pick because you have 32 NFL teams. You can't tell me one team don't think that Caleb Williams is the second coming of
Patrick Mahomes.
some yeah, Patrick Mahomes, Brett Favre, or something like that. There's one team that's willing to come up and give the farm for him. And Poe's just got to find out who that team is.
Yep. But say if they end up drafting a quarterback, well then you got to give Eberflus an extension so you guarantee that he ain't getting fired after year 3 because you want to make sure there's stability in place.
Yep. But again, it's still got to get an OC that he gonna click with.
Yep. And you got to hire the
And
right one too. One
that's
that will
correct.
benefit. We'll look at Caleb Williams if we draft him and just be like, okay, what are his strengths? What are his weaknesses? Let's use more of his
Yep.
strengths than more of his weaknesses.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, we'll see.
Yep.
Draft is in April. So so they basically have a good 3 months to hire an OC, decide what to do with Fields, and decide what to do with that #1 pick overall.
Yep.
So again, don't envy Ryan Poles.
Yeah. Obviously, it's going to be a huge decision on him. Either or.
Yep.
I just hope it all works out for the
And
Bears.
then on top of that, this is a job security decision.
Yep.
You mess that quarterback position up, man. You might as well just go ahead and start packing your things up.
And
Bill Belichick, to be sure, Bill Belichick would still be. I think Bill Belichick would still be working if they would just not screw Tom Brady over and allowed that man to stay in New England. and just get to do what he needs.
I think some of it also has to do with the fact post Tom Brady, he hired a bunch of coordinators that didn't know what the hell they were doing, and that just sped it up to the point where like we got to let him go.
Tom Brady was a coordinator. Look what he did for Tampa Bay. Now,
So,
granted, he had Byron Leftwich there, but
hey, that's
you
another
know,
OC, but maybe the Bears interview.
well, keep in mind now, was Leftwich that good as an OC under with Brady as his quarterback? Or was Brady just that doggone good of as a quarterback and he made Leftwich look good?
That's true.
It's clear that Brady made Belichick look good.
But even in that final year, Leftwich was the OC, and that
Correct.
offense under Tom Brady wasn't that
I
good.
just remember that game against Green Bay. Brady walks to the sideline and he's talking. The head coach is listening, and so is Byron Leftwich, and they're nodding their heads. So Brady is telling them something that they are agreeing with.
Yep.
And then they beat Green Bay, go.
All right. Weird stuff happening technical wise. You were talking about your point or whatever.
Yeah, I was basically saying that Brady's great, man. I mean, you can't undervalue um, a really good quarterback. And I was on the point of Brady having a conversation with his head coach and Byron Leftwich, whereas they automatically knew what to do after Brady told them. So you can't undervalue the really good. You can't undervalue a really good quarterback.
Yep.
So that's why I'm of the position to reset the rookie clock with Justin Fields. I mean, it's too big of a risk financially, and you can get another quarterback to run the position for the next 4 to 5 years. However, if they trade down and they get, let's just say that number 3 pick overall, and they get somebody's that the Patriots number 1 next year, and the Patriots wind up being the worst team in football again, we could be having the same conversation again next year.
Yep. And they won't
So,
have a lot of offensive talent regardless.
yeah,
And again, they'll have another defensive minded head coach.
the Patriots are,
First time defensive minded head coach.
yeah, the Patriots are depleted of talent.
Because the only
So they
offensive threat they got is Ramon Stevenson, the running back, and
running
then
back.
Hunter Henry, the tight end. I
Yeah.
don't know. I can't think of anybody else. Devontae Parker.
And he's no. I say look at the Patriots. Look at the Patriots, trade that number 1 to them, see if you can get their number 1 next year. And we could be potentially have a 3rd year in which we have the number 1 pick overall.
Yeah.
In a row.
That'd be
Doing this, and
you
we
have to
could be
be
doing this again.
really lucky to do
And
that.
then we could be doing this again. And then we'll be talking about Shadur Sanders.
Or any other of the breakout quarterbacks for next year. And
And
who's
then
to say who's to say that maybe they take a quarterback in this year's draft and they just have him sit for a year,
that's possible too.
you know? Now, it will depend how far a quarterback falls. I think the top 4 quarterbacks would be Caleb Williams, Drake May, Michael Penix, and then Jaden Daniels. Now, I don't envision Penix dropping out of the first round. Maybe I feel like it could be like a late first round draft pick.
Well,
Well,
I mean, think about it like this. Let's just say that they um trade down to number 3, pick up
mhm.
Marvin Harrison, and Penix is available at number 9.
And you just
Let
draft him and
Penix,
just to sit behind
let
Fields for one season.
yeah,
I'm fine with that.
the scenario is there. Again, the draft is such an inexact science that you really just don't know what's going on.
Yep.
And you're
Only thing is, if they take a Penix, I would only be like, all right, injury issues, because I know he's had injury problems in
yeah,
college.
he's
But
not the physical specimen that Fields is.
yeah, and
He's not.
that's a guy you definitely need to build like a really good offensive line for to give him time to
Correct.
throw.
Correct.
So yeah.
So, but mm, I mean, we'll see.
Yep.
But I'm still trade down.
Yeah.
Still trade down. And maybe you can get, Daniels or Penix with that ninth pick overall. It's gonna be pretty interesting. And I think the Bears is gonna throw up the first curveball of the draft.
Oh
When you
yeah.
talk about they're gonna
Obviously.
throw up the first curveball of the draft.
So
And you never know. The Bears could trade down to 3, and then might want to see them Cardinals, see if they can trade up to 2.
that is true as well. That's true.
But right now, we know for sure the Bears are going to trade down.
Yep. Yep.
I say suck on them Patriots.
Sorry,
The
man.
Patriots, the Patriots. I mean, for right now, I'm pretty sure Poles just like, man, I'm gonna get them. I got the Panthers last year. I'm gonna get the Patriots this year.
Yep.
Watch.
Yeah, some other clear things just to clean up. Ian Cunningham has been taking interviews for GMs. He didn't get the Washington Commanders job, but I think he interviewed for the Chargers job. What are the only GM openings? Chargers, Raiders. Hey, did the Panthers fire their GM too? But nobody's going there.
No, I didn't think the Panthers fired the GM too.
Yeah, Panthers fired the GM too. They cleaned house.
Wow, they cleaned house.
Tepper really upset over there.
Man, Jaguars fired 10 coaches in one day. I mean, Peterson,
he's on the hot seat, most definitely.
he definitely on the hot seat. I mean, like, you lose the playoffs the last game of the year.
Hey guys, sorry for that abrupt end to the video. There was just a bunch of tech issues that were happening that day in terms of that pre-recorded video. But obviously that we basically got our points across and things like that. So yeah, but that's basically it. I'm just trying to get these videos out as fast as I can. I know I'm actually getting out, it's a little bit late, but I'm actually getting out a video about the Bears interviewing Cliff Kingsbury. Now that video is already pre-recorded and everything. It's gonna go up someday. I'll probably also talk about the Bears also interviewing one of the Titans, former defensive back coach, somebody that they targeted originally who used to play on the Bears. I'll probably have a video talking about that. And that's basically it. Again, I'll keep updated with any news regarding the Bears and things like that, but that's basically it. So yeah, so anyways, I'm going to get out of here. Have a safe day. Have a safe, doing whatever you need to do. And yeah, till then, guys, catch you guys in the next video. Peace.